Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. We are here because we want to prepare for the SAT. We have been solving math and grammar questions out of this book here, the official SAT study guide, 2nd edition. If you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it. The problem that we are about to solve is the one that you will find on page number 400, and today is our lesson number 16. The problem is number 17. Let's take a look at it. There's a picture there that is given to us. We are told that this is 90 degrees, and then the line comes down straight. A, B, C, and D. Since angle B is 90 degrees, okay, listen, I'm going to start solving it right now. Since angle B is 90 degrees and this perpendicular thing comes, that's what perpendicular means, that it comes straight down, which means it cuts this angle, this 90 degree angle into halves. So this becomes 45 and that becomes 45. We're going to make a note of it. It becomes 45 and 45. We are also told that this is 90 degrees. Look at the symbols and you will see that this is 90 degrees. If this is 90 degrees, then so is this one. Obviously, they are both 90 degrees. They are both 90 degrees. So again, if this angle is 90 degrees, I'm going to point to things, and so you have to pay attention here. This is 90 degrees, and this is 45 degrees, which means the remaining one must also be 45 degrees. In other words, ABD is an isosceles triangle. Now, how the hell do you spell isosceles? I do not know. I teach math, but I do not know how to spell isosceles. I do not know how to spell hypotenuse, and I do not know how to spell Pythagorean theorem, and I go through this embarrassment every time. There we go. ISOSCELES, hypotenuse triangle, isosceles triangle rather. So ABD is an isosceles triangle. In other words, A to D is the same as B to D. A to D is same as B to D. Similarly, on this side, you will find that C to D is same as BC. And we know that this is 10 root 2. Now, before I go any further, I want to make sure that you understand the concept of isosceles. In an isosceles triangle here, if this is 45, this is 90 degrees, and this is 45 degrees, and this is 45 degrees. If you're told that this is 1 and this is 1, can you tell me what the other side must be, what the hypotenuse must be? You should know this by heart. It's very simple. It's simply, let's call it x here. So x squared would equal 1 squared plus 1 squared. 1 squared plus 1 squared is 2. So your x squared is 2 and your x is root 2. X is root 2. Now watch what happens. If instead of 1, if you were to multiply this side by 5, these two sides by 5, and then all it does is that the hypotenuse is simply 5 times as large. It's simply 5 times as large. If you were to multiply these sides by, if you multiply these, instead of 1 and 1, if you had 13 and 13, then this would be 13. This will be 13 times root 2. Whatever these numbers are, it's going to be that number times root 2. This side, hypotenuse, is root 2 times these sides, whatever they are. Here, this is 10 root 2. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. This hypotenuse, we are told, is 10 root 2. 10 root 2. That tells us that this must be 10 and this must be 10. This tells us that this missing side must be 10 and 10. And you can verify that yourself. I'm not going to do that right now, but you can verify that very simply, very easily, by putting 10 root 2 here. 10 root 2 squared equals, let's call this thing x, in which case this will be x squared plus x squared. So that tells you that 2x squared equals 100 times 2. You see how simple it is? 100 times 2, because 10 squared is 100 and square of root 2 is 2. So 10 times 2. Here I see a 2 and here I see a 2. Divide both sides by 2. I just said I wasn't going to do it, but then I'm doing it anyway. Divide both sides by 2. So this 2 drops out. These 2 drop out, and x squared becomes 100, which means x is 10. Which means x is 10 right here, right here. We're almost there. Okay, we're almost there. So a to d is 10 and b to d is 10, but that's not what we're interested in. A to d is 10 and so is this guy right here, c to d. Let's make a note here. A to d is 10 and c to d is 10. That was the first step, which means this length a to c is 20. We are done with that. That's it. I need the room, so I'm going to erase all of this thing. Perhaps I don't need to erase it right now, but now I'm going to introduce the complication, which is the box that is given to us. Now in the box they tell you, this is very important, you have to pay attention to everything that is said to you. This is a level 4 question. This is not an easy question. I'm going to read the question to you. It says in a right triangle ABC above, EF is parallel to AC. This is your AC and this is your EF, and we are told that it is parallel. This side is parallel to this side. This EF is parallel to AC. But that's not the part that really interests us. What interests us is what is following, which is F is the midpoint of BC. F is the midpoint of BC. F is the midpoint of BC. In other words, B to F is same as F to C. This is the important part. Okay? Which means this point F cuts this thing into half. Now because the way everything is drawn, B to D is 10. We already know because A to D is 10, and that implies that B to D is 10. Okay? We're almost there. Which tells us that this distance that I'm about to draw, this distance right here, must be 5. Why? Because I'm going to point, so I'm going to use my stick here so my hand doesn't come in the way. This line E to F is parallel to A to C. This point cuts B to C in half. If this point F cuts B to C in half, and if it is parallel, that means that this distance from B to this part right here, let's give it a name. Let's call it something. I'm going to call it M. M for the midpoint. So that tells us that B to M must equal M to D. And since B to D is same as A to D, B to D is 10 and therefore M to D is 5. We're there, almost. That's it, we're done. That's it. That's it. So distance from here to here, since A to D, this point right here is half of A to D, and this point right here is half of C to D, then this must be 5 and this must be 5, which means that this distance right here is 10. This is 5. This is 10. Therefore, the area of the shaded rectangle that they're talking about, right here, this rectangle is simply 10 times 5. That's it, that's your answer. 10 times 5, 50. That's it, we are done. I hope you followed me. I hope you understood me. And because I could stand here and keep on going for another half an hour, but I don't see any point in going into too much detail. That's the gist of it. That's it. The answer is 50. I will see you tomorrow, where we'll do question number 18. Bye now.